We've been watching Disney reconstruct and reimagine Splash Mountain for nearly a year now. Many are wondering what's going on inside. Is it going to be as good as Splash Mountain? Is Disney committing fully to this project? What does Tianas have to do with Frontierland at Magic Kingdom? Will Critter Country at Disneyland survive this update? So far all we have is the original concept art and this image from a recent television broadcast. Recently though, a reporter from NOLA.com was given a tour of the ride interiors by a Disney Imagineer, and we've got some interesting reporting from that visit. We have updates on some very good news on the quality of animatronics we should expect, plus details on what's changing inside, how the loading area might look, as well as a few clues or Easter eggs that might give us some idea of what's going to happen to both Frontierland at Magic Kingdom and Critter Country at Disneyland. The tour was given at Tianas at Magic Kingdom in Orlando, as they are considerably further along than we are here at Disneyland. And it begins at the attraction entrance. Spoiler alert, as always, for those not wanting too much to be revealed, now's your chance. The entrance is being transformed with new paint and new flagstone paving at the entrance in order to help set the stage for the show, per Imagineer Ted Robledo. Once inside, the first floor of the barn at Magic Kingdom will be the offices of Tiana's Food, an employee-owned business that Princess Tiana founded after the events of Princess and the Frog. Here and outside near the entrance, speakers will be broadcasting a 1920s era radio show playing music that one might hear at the time in New Orleans. This music is actually new, reimagined arrangements recorded specifically for this attraction and performed by local New Orleans musicians. Per Robledo, the music and design aesthetic of the attraction are a love letter to New Orleans. We should expect lots of art depicting the city of New Orleans throughout the loading area in such a way that the city itself could be described as being a character in the story. Now we'll talk later about the significance of this comment from Robledo and what it means for the park in general beyond what's happening inside Tianas Bayou Adventure. The guest loading area will feature cranes loading crates, pallets of Tiana's Food, which continues the theme of being, we're inside the operation. It's noted there that we'll be using the same ride vehicles as those used for Splash Mountain. And then once on ride, we should expect to find all of the fake vegetation from Splash gone and replaced with plants native to New Orleans, including cypress trees, marsh grasses, and Spanish moss. We actually got a peek of what this might look like in that image included in a recent television broadcast. And to me, and others as well, this was giving a sort of New Orleans bayou vibe, similar to what we might find in that opening scene of Pirates of the Caribbean. The reporter then goes on to mention that critters will be seen in the loading area. The same critters, I'm sure, that will feature later on in the ride and that are featured in this concept art. We'll talk about this in just a bit as well, because I believe this is a significant clue to Disney's future plans. Now, the big reveal in all of this reporting, though, is the news about the animatronics. We're getting Hong Kong Elsa, not Epcot Elsa. That is, real faces with real movements rather than projected faces. For those wondering just how far Disney will be going with this attraction, what level of quality and completeness, Hong Kong Elsa is incredibly important. Where some might fear that the attraction couldn't live up to the standard of Splash Mountain, this signals Disney's desire to not only meet the standard set by Splash, but to exceed it. Because certainly there's nothing that approached this on Splash. There are no animatronics of this quality, and certainly Hong Kong Elsa has been well received by those who have seen her to date. This is great news for park guests because it's a solid indicator that we can begin to believe that Tiana's Bayou Adventure will be good show. As for the rest of the attraction, expect no changes. The actual ride, the track, and the drops, those will be unchanged from before. So one can imagine that we're getting Splash Mountain like we knew her, plus upgraded animatronics. And hopefully upgraded theming, in terms of the aesthetic and the design. Now earlier I mentioned the relevance of the Imagineer indicating that Disney was going out of their way to express their love of New Orleans. And it seems Disney does love New Orleans in this way and that they want more of it. So much so that this love letter will extend beyond Tianas Bayou Adventure and will most likely consume other parts of Frontierland. Braden at Mickey Views, he's done some excellent reporting on this, and it seems evident that there's a future where New Orleans will be a land at Magic Kingdom and not just an attraction. And this would answer the question that some have had as to how Tianas could even exist in Frontierland. The answer will be that it does not. Now, just how extensive this update will become is hard to say. Everything depends on budget and permissions, but there is little doubt that Disney wants a New Orleans Square type environment at the Magic Kingdom. Speaking of which, there has been a similar conversation for Tianas here at Disneyland. Obviously, Tianas takes place in New Orleans, leaving many to wonder about the future of Critter Country. If New Orleans Square takes the mountain, what's left there? Hungry Bear and the 100-Acre Wood? The answer to this question lies in the statement made by Ted Robledo in the attraction tour. In the article, Robledo is quoted as saying, "This will be where we first see, quote, the critters, as we're calling them." He makes a point of specifying what they're calling these characters in the attraction. He's making a point in being very clear to call them critters. Something I mentioned long ago when construction first began was that Disney was going to lean into the critter angle, that they would become the star of the show, especially here at Disneyland. In this way, Disney could keep Critter Country as a land and not be forced to include it as part of New Orleans Square, that it wouldn't consume Critter Country. And the fact that Critter Country is a fictional place makes it that much easier. It can be literally anywhere. Critter Country could, in fact, be in New Orleans. Likewise, it's not necessary to have both Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Winnie the Pooh exist in the same geographic location. Never mind the fact that Critter Country is not a literal geographic location, at least not if we're following the rules already set by Disney in Critter Country. Before Splash closed, one could definitely say that Splash is set in the American South. The 100-Acre Wood is based on a real forest in East Sussex, England, Ashdown Forest. Not even in the same country. So it's our expectation that Critter Country will remain intact when Tiana's opens. Tiana's will be in Critter Country and everything will coexist quite wonderfully. Stay tuned to Fresh Baked, as we'll be following the construction progress of Tiana's quite closely, both at Disneyland and at Magic Kingdom. We'll also be following the Haunted Mansion updates right next door with equal excitement. Very interested to see how the new gift shop will transition to Tiana's, if it'll help or hinder that transition. So be sure to subscribe to our channel for all the latest updates on both of these stories. But we're not done today. Before we go, we have a couple of news items to follow up on. Lunar New Year is coming up, and this year guests will be able to meet Mei Mei and Ming from Turning Red. We had previously reported that it was our belief it would be Mei Mei in her red panda form that guests would be meeting. But this recent concept art suggests that Mei Mei may be in her natural form, a face character. I would have loved to have been able to meet Mei Mei as Red Panda, but if the Mei Mei meet can meet the quality of Mirabelle from Encanto, I think guests will be delighted. Because she was great, and Mei Mei has a lot of personality on her own as well. I think it's going to be just fine. Finally, Disney has published a foodie guide for the upcoming Valentine's Day holiday. Unfortunately, there is not a lot for everyday guests to enjoy here at the Disneyland Resort. The only items new for the holiday are at Clarabelle's and Lamplight Lounge in DCA and the Grand Californian in downtown Disney. No Valentine's Day treats, events, or festivities at Disneyland proper. Obviously, this is due most likely to Sweethearts Nights being held during this holiday season, and they don't want to interrupt that paid event. So that's it for now, Fresh Baked. If you enjoyed this show and would like to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked, where we are uploading additional content for our supporters there. Or you can follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there, be kind to one another, and Fresh Baked